Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm News Jester. My name is Junior. So today let's do an unboxing of previous buys that I've done and a review as well. This is going to be part one because there's way too many figures just to do it in one setting. But there's going to be two parts, I think. So this one we'll do it by number. So we'll do the Grand Inquisitors first, and then we'll do the set because this set contains the second sister. So let me put this out of the way while we do an unboxing, and I'll do a turnaround over here of the Grand Inquisitor. And let me just take him out of the box, and then I'll be back in a millisecond. Alright, so it looks like this is all that's coming out of the box. The lightsaber that he has, I don't isn't this supposed to be technically separate, but it's not going to separate in this one. And that's fine with me. I really not interested in separating it, putting it in the back where you won't see it, or even removing this. Not sure if it's removable. It should be removable since it's designed to peg in the back. Yeah, it's slowly coming out, so that's fine. So the Grand Inquisitor, I know the first time I saw this guy was in Rebels, and I've heard that some fans were not, one of the criticisms was not really fond of the fact that it's not real close to how the Grand Inquisitor was portrayed in the Rebels, where he has a little bit more cone-shaped head and everything, and then the sharp teeth and all. But honestly, the first time I saw this guy, and when I opened up the box, because I bought this guy on a whim, I just suddenly came to me that I wanted the Inquisitors to complete the set because it seemed like it's almost a complete set. Crap. So here's the head sculpt over here. As you can see, it's a pale face, so there's not much of paint application in this one, but what is there is still impressive. As you can see, the eyes are nicely painted, and you still have these shadowing going on the around the eyes. And you also see the differences between a sharp tattooed marking up here using the same color and a blending technique that they're using on the eyeshadow, so it disperses around the skin, and then a different one here for the lips. There seems to be some sort of shadowing going on in the lower cheekbone over here. I don't know if that's the shadow or just they actually painted that. Seems like it might be a shadow cast, but I'm not. Yeah, it is. Also, if you'll notice on the head, you'll notice the ridge line that's still, you can still see on the sculpt itself, and you'll still see this dimple over here on the side of the head. So it's good because it's not like perfectly rounded, because this is, I'm sure, was done on 3D modeling, and yet the artist still puts in this dimple just to make sure it's not so perfectly rounded, you know. One of the things I've noticed is that there's no uniformity to the armor that these Inquisitors use. There are differences enough that kind of makes it okay, and that's the reason why I thought, even though I looked at it precursorily only, that's the reason why I thought the next set that I'm going to look at, and the gaming grades, would fit just fine because the design is similar enough um, that it still fits within the idea that it's one set of one group of people that's working as Inquisitors. And see that part here, I really like that you can still see these leather markings, leather properties that make it look like this whole boots are made out of leather. And see how they sculpted all around this joint over here. So that's really cool. I also like the fact that here in the joint you can still see the sculpt survives, unlike here in the ankle where it's just a clean articulation. Because this is done in 3D modeling, what they usually do is they'll sculpt the whole figure and then insert the joint circular, a perfectly circular joint here, and then they'll copy and paste this um, surface sculpture detail, create a negative imprint on that and then put it on top of the circular articulation, subtract it, and what you'll get is a positive uh, remaining sculpture that's embedded into the articulation joint. So I think they only started doing that once they switched over to the 3D modeling. When it was actual sculpting on clay, they were never able to do that. Yeah, which is kind of a shame. But I mean, like now that they're in the 3D modeling, it's excellent. It's an excellent addition that they've done. It really hides the joint, as you can see here on the elbow. You really don't even see the joint except for this vertical line of where the joint is hidden, as you can see. So let's move on to the articulation, and I will zoom out. So let's look at the articulation on the Grand Inquisitor. Now, the Grand Inquisitor, just like any figures here, has a ball joint at the base of his skull and also a ball joint at the bottom of the neck. So just on the base of his skull, he can look up that much and he won't be able to look down at all. But utilizing the peg joint on the bottom of the neck, then that then increases a little bit more, and then instead of looking downward by using the peg joint at the bottom of the skull, you use the one at the bottom of the neck. So that's pretty good. It can go all around because of that, the combination of those peg joints. The pauldrons over here have a connector underneath there, but it's not really connected to the main armor. I think what's going on is that connector has a ring inside that's sitting behind the shoulder, so you can actually kind of move it. You can see around that circle. It's soft rubber. I'm really hoping that eventually it won't snap, because there's gonna be a lot of movement on that one connection. But if you want to, it moves out of the way as you move the shoulder. I just would be very careful stressing that one connector. Once that snaps, that's pretty much it. It doesn't have a bicep cut, but it does have the swivel at the elbow freely. And as you can see, it goes slightly more than 90 degrees on the bend on the elbow. It doesn't have a gauntlet swivel. The swivel is going to happen at the wrist, and then the hand moves in and out. As for the torso, the movement is going to come from the bottom of the ribs. It's on a peg ball joint, so you can have all that movement. It has an armor over here, but from what I've seen on other Black series, it's not going to move forward. It's something to do with the opening of that ball joint. It's as if like it's not, it's preventing it. It's like hitting the edge. But going backwards, you can go a little bit better. It doesn't have a waist swivel. It doesn't have a drop down joint. But it's not really necessary because you can pretty much kick his legs up to 90 degrees. Because of this armor gear over here, it's going to prevent the movement of the leg going outward. Now, it's soft enough. It's just that you're going to start warping this armor if you want to push it to the maximum level of articulation or maximum range. But it's going to start warping this. So I don't know if you're willing to do that. As you can see, the longer you let it stay at that warped angle, it will start messing up your armor gear here. So it's up to you guys. He can't really kick back because of the shape of the buttocks here. He does have a thigh joint. He is on a single joint knee, but that articulation range goes slightly above 90 degrees. And it does have a swivel at the knee as well. As for the ankle, he can look down. It can go down pretty well and go up pretty good as well. And of course, he's got the ankle rockers. And you have the two pegs over here if you want to store his blade like so. I think I'm just gonna have him holding it. I really am noticing that this, I mean, all of them start bending like that, and I'm really afraid of stressing out that small peg joint and eventually getting snapping off. But I guess what can you do? And the other thing I want to talk about on the Grand Inquisitor is the use of the cape. The fabric that they're using on this one is pretty good. It has a nice drape to it. You know, it's got a lot of weight and everything, or it's got it can pull down its own weight pretty well. So, and that's it for the Grand Inquisitor. Let's take a look at the other stuff. Okay, so there they are out of the packaging. Let's start off with the Purge Trooper. As you know, I already have a bunch of Purge Trooper. I have 5 of them already, so I really didn't need another one. But I did find out that one of them was actually a custom, so I'm glad to have this one to replace that. And also, it's got a gray pauldron over here, so that's also good. This is also not my most favorite design of the Purge Trooper. I know he's the original, but from the movies and everything, but I still prefer the Purge Trooper from the Kenobi series. I just prefer the bucket design than this one. But yeah, it's just any of the, just like the other Purge Troopers that I've received. The other good thing about this particular Purge Trooper is it does come with this weapon, which I'm not familiar. I don't even know if it's an axe like that or some sort of rifle. But it has all the details. As you can see, it's got this nice ribbon going on here and here. It's got the detail here. And then the violet or purple coloring here. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to look and see how they handle this. I've said before that I'm not really familiar with the games. I've never played Star Wars games. And I do have this game downloaded, and I purchased the second one for like $5, but I still haven't had the chance to try it out. So I am kind of familiar with Cal Kestis because I did see him in my 3.75 figures, so I do know who he is. But other than that, I pretty much don't know. This is called the Inquisitor Vision, so I'm assuming at some point in the game he gets a vision where he becomes an Inquisitor. But yeah, so as you can see, the design of the Inquisitor armor is close enough to what we see in the live action. Let me bring in the Grand Inquisitor. So you can see, even though this is shinier plastic, you still have the upper body armor over here. He is the Grand Inquisitor, and I'm not sure what level he is, so it kind of makes sense that he doesn't have this kind of design pauldron. He does have gauntlets, just like the Grand Inquisitor. Design-wise, they do have black belts, but the Grand Inquisitor live action is more intricate, while his plain, they both have this leg armor over here. Different design. As you can see, his curves out while the Grand Inquisitor curves in, and it has this detail off to the side. His doesn't. So there's enough similarities between the two that I can comfortably pair them together and say, okay, they're good enough to live within, or to be accepted within the same universe. I do notice that he has this red striping on his uniform that the Grand Inquisitor does not have. Let's see what else. Oh, I also noticed that looking at the folds of this leg from the Grand Inquisitor to Cal Kestis, it's exactly the same molding used. So there you reuse the legs from this one to this one, or that one to that one. So that also lends to the believability that they could both be in the same world, not necessarily separated by gaming and live action. So the discrepancies between the different armor designs I can easily attribute to the fact that this guy is a higher ranking one, and not even in the live action one, they don't have an exact same armor between Inquisitors as well. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if he was like whatever, seventh brother, eighth brother, or second brother in the Inquisitor line, or I don't even know if he's some sort of apprentice in the Inquisitor line. But that's the way. Yeah. he only shows the him being Inquisitor vision. So let's do a close up on the head, and let's talk about that a little bit more. As you can see, I would say the only disappointment about this particular paint application is the shininess of the face. I wish they could matte it down a little bit better. And then these paint particles that spread along his faces, this face here, in here, and the cheek, and here in the top. I don't know if those are paint blotches or he's supposed to have freckles. Um, I can see that the bridge of his nose, that's so supposed to indicate some sort of scar in there, but I don't know if the one here on the eyebrow is also a scar, and he also has one here on the lip right here. So I don't know if that's supposed to be a scar that was gained by the character or just paint blemish. It looks like it's an actual scar. So that's a paint detail that I'll attribute to them. You can see that the eyes are painted well. You can see the iris and the eyes, and then you have a very, very faint, let's see if I can close in on that. That's the closest I can go. Around the eyelids, that's really good work, paint work. Those are kind of details that really makes paint application pop. And I can tell you right now from experience, doing those eyelids on the inner eye, that line of paint is so freaking hard to do. The control that you need to be able to do that one thin line across the eye is so hard. So the face printing was really helping these figures out. And really, you really need to just concentrate on the eyes, the eyebrows, the surrounding areas of the eyes to make a paint application pop well. So that's good. And here's a more close-up view of the armor. You guys can check it out. It's got the Imperial seal over there. He's got reds on the inside of his gloves. As I said, this is basically the same mold as the Grand Inquisitor. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out now, and let's mess around with the articulation. Come on. Okay, in terms of articulation for Cal Kestis, let me move out the Inquisitor over here. The head is a ball joint on the bottom of the head, a ball joint on the bottom of the neck, which gives you this kind of range in conjunction. Same thing with the movement for that. Obviously, you can do the left to right. A lot of movement on the neck and the head. And then for the shoulders and the arms, this is softer rubber plastic, so it won't hinder your movement from the shoulder. Again, does not have a bicep cut, but it does have an elbow cut and a swivel. Nothing on the gauntlet. It does have the wrist rotation and up and down movement on the wrist. For the chest, the upper chest goes under the lower part of the rib. Again, on a ball joint. Not much going forward, even though it's not hampered by the design of the chest, but it goes back fairly enough. Nothing on the waist articulation. No drop down joint on the hip to the thigh, but it still gives you a good range. So I guess I would say it's not even necessary to have any kind of drop down joint. You can kick off to the side much more freer than the Grand Inquisitor because of the design of this thigh armor over here. It does have a thigh cut as well. And then again, because this is just a copy of the Inquisitor, you have that much for the knee articulation and pretty well on the ankle, up and down, and a rocker as well. So that's pretty good. And then for the lightsaber, as I said, I'm not very familiar with the game, so I don't know how accurate this is. I can only comment on the fact that it looks really good. There's a nice sculpting design on this one. It's got silver and some sort of dark gunmetal paint application here on the actual handle. So that's it for Cal Kestis Inquisitor Vision. Now the main reason I got this 3-pack is actually for the second sister, because like I said, I just got this urge to complete the Inquisitor sisterhood, brotherhood, sibling thing. So I now have 1 through 6, or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I have 5 of the Inquisitors. So I don't know who's the sixth one, or if we ever got one. But and I also don't know if this is the same second sister that we saw on the Rebels. The one with the probe spiders. But that's who she reminds me of. I think that one, she has an open face. I'm not entirely sure. But I do like this helmet design. I also like the solution to the pauldrons that they have here, that doesn't hide or hamper the cloth cape that they have. And the fabric they use in this one's pretty good. It's got enough weight for it to kind of sway or hang loose. I like the fact that it has this imperial stamp here on the actual cape. And the design looks pretty good. I think it lives well within both Green Ingrates and see, the live actions. That's such a believable height, believable design. Like this very simplistic design on the uniform, not much of an armor. Again, they have this gauntlet thing going on. Yeah, so it's very, very basic design. So we'll have to compare her when we bring out the which one is that? The fourth sister? Yeah, to see and compare it with Reba, the third sister's design. Anyway, in terms of articulation, unfortunately, she only has a ball joint on the base of her skull, nothing on the lower neck. So her articulation is quite limited, as you can see. She doesn't have the thick pauldron, so her shoulder movement is not going to be hampered by that. Again, just an elbow rotation in terms of a bicep cut. Nothing again in the gauntlet. Very similar to the lines that we've seen so far in the Inquisitor, in and out on the wrist, and then a rotation. She has her waist cut instead of the lower rib that's on a barbell joint. No drop down again on the legs, but unnecessary since she can kick out a full 90 degrees. The skirt that she has is designed well enough so it's not going to hamper the movement of that articulation. So you can see mine doesn't have a complete. I think that's a paint bleed because I think this was cast in red. I'm not entirely sure. But again, not hampering the movement of the legs. Does have a thigh cut. She has a double jointed knee. Kind of interesting. So one of the advantages of the single joint cut knee, as it doesn't have a peg holes, as you can see. Even though they lack their range in articulation movement, I ask you if that much movement is even necessary. I suppose in certain poses like extreme squatting or jumping, that might be necessary, but then you're sacrificing the sculpt detail or breaking down the sculpt. So this definitely looks very, very clunky compared to this one. I'm assuming they're not a reuse of anything, right? Like this wasn't released previously, or he wasn't released previously from, apart from the set. I'm assuming that. I don't know, but this seems like such an old technology that I do wonder if it's necessary or not, but I don't know. No boot cut. Movements all in the ankle. There's the rocker, and in terms of articulation up is good. Articulation down is good as well. And she has the signature lightsaber blade of Inquisitors, so that's pretty cool. One note of difference between this one and the live action. Well, actually, the design, as you can see, is different. So I don't know in terms of their lightsabers if their lightsaber designs are different per each Inquisitor. I will note that the one from the live action does have 2 pegs that will peg in, I'm assuming, yeah, in the back of the armor. And since she doesn't have that, there's no way for her to peg it in the back. That's kind of a shame. So I don't know how she's supposed to hold this. in the game. So yeah, that's it. Let's just do really quick this one. This helmet I do like because it's sort of reminding me of the Kenobi Purge Trooper. The design is very similar.
This is a reminder.
Alexa, stop. The design is so similar where it has a bucket, but then it has this flare out to the side, and then an angular face. So yeah, I just don't like the very slit line here of the visor. So, but aside from that, I like it. It's a good addition to my Inquisitor line. So there's my Inquisitor. Since he's an Inquisitor vision, he kind of fits in. Maybe I can kind of finagle it in my mind where he's the sixth brother potential wannabe. I don't know, but that's pretty good though. Uh, Getting rid of these two, that's one and two of the Inquisitor lines. So we'll in the future we'll check out what's going on with 3, 4, and 5. All right. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys found it informative and enjoyable. I'll see you in part 2 where I'll be talking about 3, 4, and 5 brothers and sisters of the Inquisitor set. I'll see you again. Bye.